it's become probably even a little bit more of a must-win game. Vegas still likes the Niners because they're still a heavy favorite in this game, but it hasn't changed the fact that it's a must-win game. And I would say it probably feels like it has more juice to it. I think you and I, as people who really love the Niners-Seahawks rivalry, don't hate when Seattle wins because it makes these games feel bigger. And this game definitely feels huge now for the 49ers.
I think this game is, like, I've been thinking a lot about it the last probably 24 hours. I mean, it's the biggest game of Trey Lance's career, obviously. I mean, he's never, every game that he'll play, especially as the season goes, is going to be the biggest game of his career. And there is going to be, let's face it, whether it's true or not, a lot of people are shitting on him right now. And I think one thing I noticed, it's impossible to talk about football on Monday before like lunch if like you haven't watched all the games. The amount of people that are shitting on him that actually watched the Bears game, and I'm not even saying that everything they're saying is wrong, but they didn't actually watch. That's my thing. No chance. Because a lot of people say a lot of things, and you're just like, you're not watching Commanders, Jags. Give me a fucking break. Like, if you want to have a take on how Mahomes looked, yeah, most people probably peeked at that game, or Raiders, Chargers.
Well, does red zone count?
Yeah, but how often were the Niners in red zone?
I would say, I'm just saying at all. Like,
no, that does not count. What, you can't watch a game on red zone. Scott Hansen flips the game like every other second. But ultimately, my point is, he left some to be desired. Even he said he missed a layup. He's got to play well. Like, to me, he's got to make some plays. We said it last week, like how many touchdowns. He didn't account for a touchdown, right? He threw no touchdowns, didn't run for a touchdown, and had a pick. Like, are we getting 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown? Like, are we going to get some touchdowns? I haven't. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be 78 degrees. Seattle, this ain't LOB, even though they looked a lot better. They're also coming off a short week. Like, are we getting explosive touchdown plays? That's my question. Like, I'm not, this has nothing to do with, like, are they transitioning to Jimmy? What's his, I'm just talking this week in a vacuum. Can he fucking make some explosive plays? We've probably all seen at this point the thing that went viral. I didn't, I guess, notice it on TV when it happened, when Kyle said, I thought he said, say the fucking play. He said, same fucking play, I think is what he said. Same fucking play. And Trey had to look like, oh, I got you. But it looked like Kyle's like that on game day. I would imagine he's probably a little different during the week. It doesn't help to be that all over him. But they need the guy to make explosive plays. Like, that's what he was drafted to do, make explosive plays. I've said all along, you can live with the interceptions. Are we getting explosive plays and scores? Scored 10 points. Driving monsoon, whatever. Whether he played good or not, the total landscape of the game, he did account for a couple crazy explosive plays in Justin Fields, right? And that turned out to be the difference in the game. One guy pulled plays out of his ass. The other guy did not.
Right. We are looking at a chance of rain on Sunday, by the way, John. It's like around 37 to 40% chance of rain on Sunday in Santa Clara, by the way, just FYI. So something to be aware of. But I think, part of the reason, and we'll get to what Chris Sims said, but part of the comparison to Jimmy, and not that everything has to be a comparison to Jimmy, part of what this offense is needed is what you're describing, right? More explosiveness in the pass game. And I think everyone, at least I'll speak for myself, you accept with a young quarterback, we can give up some of the consistency, some of the what to do on every play, some of the discipline. We'll give up feeling confident about every throw in exchange for the ability to play a little more of a wide open offense. Now, I can't compare it really to Chicago. Chicago, just given what that game turned into from a weather standpoint, even before the monsoon started, you don't go into that game expecting to hit a bunch of big plays. So whatever. It's not about that game. It's not about here's what he has to do better from week 1. It's just about what he will need to do in order for this team to win, especially with Elijah Mitchell out, right? Running the football the way they like to run the football might be a little more difficult moving forward. It might not be. Maybe they'll step it up. We'll see. But it might be. It probably will be a little more difficult. Elijah Mitchell, like you used to say, these aren't widgets. He is better than the other running backs that they have on the team. He just is. So now that puts just a little more on him. Now, is Kittle back? right? That relieves a little bit of pressure.
Probably not.
We'll see. So, but he is the quarterback. Like, even if you're not asking your quarterback to be Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, he's still the quarterback. There is still going to be a baseline of responsibility that a winning team's quarterback bears, and it involves making plays.
I mean, are we getting a game within the next month where he throws a couple touchdowns, maybe runs another touchdown and leads another touchdown drive with a run? And maybe the run of his is another running back. So it accounts for 4 touchdowns, 2 throwing, and then 2 other drives that end in a running touchdown. Like, that's part of like the swing for him. And I was pro the swing for him, but part of the swing for him is the high highs. You know, this was not like last week. Right. Let's face it. He ran that Jimmy couldn't, but it was the stat line looked like mediocre quarterback stat line. And you could be like, whoa. And I've seen a lot of this on the game. We're not judging, like we're not doing some overall referendum on the guy's career on this, but the Niners need more. That's what they need more out of in a game. Like they just needed more. Clearly the game ended. They did not get enough out of the quarterback. Now, is some of the stuff that's being said asinine and stupid? Of course. But it cannot be argued when the game ended, they didn't have enough from him. And you can be like, well, Fields he completed half the balls even he did. Yeah, well, 2 of them led to touchdowns. You know? Like that's the point of this game is to have more points than the other team. And, you know, and like you said with the running game, like unless one of these young guys comes out of nowhere and like looks exactly like Elijah Mitchell, I think it's fair to say until we see it, the running game is not going to be as potent without Elijah Mitchell. Like you have to assume that until proven differently.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. It's a divisional game. So, but actually,
and they swept you last year.
They swept you last year.
Kicked your ass a little bit.
You know, and they've changed their defense a little bit. That was part of the talk last night. Like, it's not the same defense Russ practiced against, and it's not the same defense that Trey got to see last year. But even if Trey Lance, like even to me, like we're bringing up the Browns game, the Bears game, even if he was 13-28, right? And it was really like 13-26. But let's say it was better. Let's say they won. Let's say we can say a lot of. Let's pretend like he had an A+ game last week. Wouldn't change any of what we're saying this week. Right? If he did all the things we're talking about last week, what we'd be saying now is, well, they're going to have to do it again. Like Seattle's going to they're going to try and get after him again. We see the way they play. Like I think you're right. That team was riding a major high at home against Russ, but I do think they fundamentally have some pretty good, athletic, strong, like NFL, like playmaking players on. Jordan Brooks is good. Uchenna Nwosu, like Mike Jackson. What do you have? 2 fumble recoveries. Cody Barton made plays. Like they just have some guys that look like what we're used to seeing Seattle Seahawks defense. And they always, here's the other thing, they play in some weird ass games. And the Niners and Seahawks play in weird ass games. So if you looked at last Monday night and went, well, Russ at home, extenuating circumstances, you're going to get Seattle's best. Well, I'd put the 49ers in the category of extenuating circumstances with Seattle too. Like the Niners get Seattle's best consistently.
Agreed.
So, could they beat them by 10? Yeah, because I think the Niners are better than them. Is Geno going to have the game he had? No, I don't think he will. But you're going to have to, like, I think they went into Chicago. I certainly thought they could go in with their C+ game and beat the Bears. They went in with their C+ game and did not beat the Bears. So it was
like a C+ game that turned second half was probably like a D-.
Well, here's the other thing. Like 10 penalties? Was it 10 or was it 12?
12.
I think it was 12. It was 12. Somebody said 10 earlier. It was 12.
It was 12.
Only the Jags committed more penalties.
The Cowboys had, I think, 10 too. Oh, they had less than the Niners, but yeah, they were a double-digit team.
So, like, that's the other question. We just assume Trey can just let the defense on the run game take care of itself. Well, the run game is injured now. And, they made a bunch of mistakes on defense. So, is that who they are? Are they the team that can just run and play defense? I don't know. They weren't week 1.
Hell of a question. I'm bullish on them. I'm bullish on them. The defense to be big time, but
yeah, I agree.
What happened last week was a little weird, especially down the stretch.
I'm not even counting the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's just, to me, they need him to make big plays. It's like, well, he hit Jennings. I'm not talking about just one fucking pass. Can you throw a couple touchdown passes? He missed a touchdown pass. Even if you're Trey's family member or a hater of Trey, like, he missed them. Trey admitted it, and he said, I should have just fucking thrown a rope to him. I tried to make the perfect pass. It's fine, but like, you can do that one game, it cost you, right? But it can't snowball. And every single game with Kyle, it happens 2 or 3 times. In that game, it really won because of the weather. But I would say for the most part, it happens a couple times where it's like, not all of them would lead to a touchdown. Some of them might just be a 50-yard. You're at the 30, and now you're at the, you flip the field. Now you're at the 15, like a 60-yard play or something. You got to hit that play. You have to. And it feels like the Niners have been it's one thing to like, we're like 40% on go routes or what hard passes. I would say the Niners percentage on the layup passes over the last several years, where it's like that would have been enormous, is so low.
The schemed open guy.
The schemed open guy that's like a dude runs around a guy, he like pretends to fall down or pretends to block, leaks out, and it's just like, Jesus, things going.
Yeah, wide ass open.
Remember the play last year in the playoff game? It's like Rodgers hit it. Now they ended up not winning the game, but remember, like, Rodgers did the little looper, and after Jimmy had thrown the pick, it was like to end the first half, and the guy went like 50 yards. Like the Niners just hit a couple of those that they have every game. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. RP on the stream says Jimmy sucked in sunny clear skies too. I think he's talking to the chat, but weird how y'all have forgotten about that. Turn on the Titans game for a refresher. We'll get to Jimmy. Don't you worry about Jimmy. We'll get to Jimmy. Remember what we talked about, John, last week. Winning is going to be the most important stat for Trey Lance. And they lost week 1. And it's not about who to blame, whatever. Like, who to blame is for us to talk about and for Monday through Saturday. But the only thing that matters, like, it's just your team has to win the games.
One thing, though, and we'll see how, if Seattle can maintain this level of play. They do have just more talented teams coming up that, for them to win, it's not just the defense going to be a top 5 defense. He has to make plays. It's inevitable.